My name's Lauren Hart, and I was 18 years old when my own mother looked right at me and said, "It's her or the door. Pick one." I picked the door. That night, I left my house with one backpack. That's it. One backpack with my clothes shoved in, my birth certificate, my social security card, and this knot in my chest that wouldn't go away. Every single dollar I'd saved for nursing school was gone. Just gone. My own mom had moved it out of my account without even telling me, because my older sister needed it more. At least that's what she told herself. But honestly, the money wasn't even the part that gutted me. It was hearing that same line I've heard my whole life. "You're the strong one, Lauren. You'll figure it out. You'll be fine." In my family, being the strong one didn't mean they were proud of me. It didn't mean they respected me. It meant I was the one they could dump everything on and I wasn't supposed to complain. I was the backup plan, the fixer, the one who was just supposed to take it. My sister, Melissa, was 2.5 years older than me, and from the time I was little, it was always Melissa first. If Melissa missed curfew, Mom found an excuse for her. If Melissa wrecked her car, Dad paid the deductible. If Melissa quit a job because her boss was mean to her, somebody else picked up the slack. And that somebody was usually me. I don't say that to sound bitter, it's just how it was. I learned early that if I wanted anything in my life, I had to make it happen myself, because no one was coming to save me. Nobody was saving extra for me. So I started saving for nursing school when I was 15. I got my work permit and started closing at a Walgreens 4 nights a week after school. You know the shift, 4 to 10, mopping floors, stocking shelves, dealing with that one customer who comes in 5 minutes before close and wants you to find something in the back. Then on weekends, I picked up shifts at a little breakfast diner near our house. Nothing fancy. Refilling coffee, wiping down sticky tables, trying not to burn the toast on the rush. I skipped a lot. I didn't go to homecoming my junior year because I didn't want to spend $80 on a dress I'd wear once. I said no to spring break trips my friends were taking. I banked birthday money, Christmas money, cash from babysitting the neighbors' kids. Every paycheck, I'd put what I could into a savings account my parents helped me open when I was a kid. I watched that number climb so slowly, and God, I was proud of it. By the time I turned 18, I had $9,800 in there. $9,800. That wasn't shopping money. That wasn't let me get a new phone money. That was my ticket. That was community college, then nursing prerequisites, then maybe a real RN program without drowning in debt. That was me finally building a life that was mine, where I didn't have to ask anyone for permission. Then on a Tuesday night, 5 years, almost to the day after I walked out with that one backpack, my phone rang. It was like 9:30 at night. I was folding laundry and watching some rerun on TV. The caller ID said, "Mom and Dad House." I just stared at it. My stomach dropped. For a second, I thought about letting it go to voicemail. 5 years of pure silence. Not a single "we miss you" or "I'm sorry." And now they're calling. I answered. I don't even know why. Maybe curiosity, maybe some stupid hopeful part of me that still wanted them to say they were sorry. My mom was crying, or doing that voice where she wants you to think she's crying. The first words out of her mouth weren't, "Hi, honey." They weren't, "How are you?" They weren't, "I miss you," or "We were wrong." She just said, "Lauren, honey, your sister needs you. It's an emergency. You need to come home." Just like that. No preamble, no catching up. Straight to, "Melissa needs you." I knew, in my gut, I just knew this call had absolutely nothing to do with me. It never had. She didn't want Lauren back. She wanted something Lauren had. She wanted me to come to their house right then, that night. She said there was a family emergency and we could talk about it in person. She was being vague on purpose, I could tell. Every time I asked a real question, she dodged it. "What's wrong? What happened to Melissa? She just needs you. Is she okay? Is she sick? It's not about that. Is someone hurt? Just come home. We can figure this out as a family." After 15 minutes of that, I said, "I'm not driving over there in the middle of the night until someone tells me what's actually going on. If it's a real emergency, tell me on the phone." She got quiet. Then she said the caseworker would call me anyway, so I should just wait, and then she hung up. Caseworker? What caseworker? My heart was pounding so loud I could hear it. I didn't go over there. Instead, I started doing what I've learned to do the last 5 years when something feels off. I started asking my own questions. The next morning, I made 3 phone calls. One to an old neighbor I still had on Facebook, one to my cousin who still talked to my parents sometimes, and one back to my mom where I let it go to voicemail and then texted my dad directly and said, "If this involves a child, I need to know." By noon, I had the real story, and it was so much worse than I thought. My sister Melissa has a little girl, my niece Ava. She was 6 years old. I hadn't even met her. My family never told me Melissa had a baby. I found out the way everyone else in town found out, through gossip. Apparently, Melissa had left 6-year-old Ava home alone overnight, all night, alone in their apartment, while she went to a casino 2 towns over with her boyfriend. Not for an hour, not, "Oops, I ran to the store," overnight. A neighbor heard Ava crying around 1 in the morning through the thin walls, knocked, got no answer, heard this little voice crying inside, and called the police. The police found Ava by herself, scared, sitting on the couch in her pajamas. Child Services got involved. Of course they did. They opened a case. They did a home inspection, and they did not like what they saw. Melissa's apartment wasn't safe. Her record wasn't great, and now there was a documented incident of neglect. And suddenly, all these years later, my family remembered I existed, because I had exactly what they needed to fix this on paper: a stable job, a clean record, no history with CPS, a safe apartment with 2 actual locks on the door, and food in the fridge. I was a pediatric nurse, for crying out loud. I looked perfect. My mother's plan was simple, and she laid it out so casually when she finally called back later that day, like she was asking me to pick up milk. She said, "Look, honey, it's not a big deal. We just need Ava to be listed as living at your address for a little while, just on paper. CPS will come check your place, see you're a nurse, see a nice bed for her, and they'll sign off. But she'll actually stay here with us, with your sister, like normal. You don't even have to do anything. You just have to let us use your address and show up for the meeting. That's it." That's it? She wanted me to lie to Child Services. She wanted me to be the cover so Melissa could keep living exactly like she'd been living without actually changing anything. She wanted to use the stable life I built without them, the life I built because they threw me away, to clean up Melissa's mess again. I was sitting in my car in the hospital parking lot on my lunch break when she said it, and I started to laugh. I couldn't help it. It just bubbled up out of me, and it wasn't even a happy laugh. It was that kind of laugh you do when something is so absurd, so shameless, that your brain doesn't know what else to do. I said, "You took my nursing school money to save her. You threw me out when I wouldn't sign a lie. You didn't talk to me for 5 years, and now you want me to sign another lie to save her again? And you want to use the nursing career you tried to take from me to do it?" She got quiet, because she knew I got it. I finally got it. Everything they wanted from me now was everything I built after they threw me away. The career, the apartment, the clean life. Their biggest mistake, letting the strong one walk away, had become my greatest strength, and they just assumed I'd hand it over. But I wasn't the 18-year-old girl with one backpack anymore. I wasn't going to sign a piece of paper just because my mom slid it across a table. Not ever again. I told her no, not like that, not your way. That night, I called the CPS caseworker myself. Her name was Miss Rivera. I told her who I was. I said, "Hey, my family contacted me about my niece Ava. I understand there's an open case. I want to help, but not the way they described." I said, "I am not interested in being a fake address so my sister can keep leaving her kid alone. If Ava needs a safe place, I'm willing to be considered as a real placement, a real guardian, not on paper, for real. I have the means, I have the space. I want to do this the right way." There was a pause on her end, and then she said, "Thank you for being honest, because not everyone is." The next few weeks were a blur of interviews, background checks, fingerprinting, home inspections. They came to my one bedroom and opened cabinets, checked the water temperature, looked at where a child would sleep. I cleared out my little office nook and set up a twin bed with pink sheets and a little stuffed bunny I found on sale. I baby-proofed things I didn't even know needed baby-proofing. My family was furious. My mom called me screaming that I was being selfish, that I was trying to destroy the family, that I was stealing Melissa's child. Melissa left me a voicemail calling me a traitor who thought she was better than everyone now. My dad didn't call at all. But for the first time in my life, I stopped trying to make them happy. I stopped carrying their weight. I told Miss Rivera the whole truth. The money they took, the paper they tried to make me sign at 18, the 5 years of no contact until they needed something. I gave her bank records I still had. Then Ava started spending weekends with me. The first time she came over, she barely said a word. This tiny 6-year-old with big eyes and hair in 2 little ponytails, clutching the strap of her coat. She asked me, "Can I sit on the couch? Can I have some water?" She asked permission for everything, like she was afraid any small move might be wrong. One afternoon, I poured her some apple juice in a plastic cup, and she was holding it with both hands, so careful not to spill. She looked up at me and whispered, "What happens if I break something?" My heart just shattered, because no 6-year-old should ask a question like that in that tone of voice. I smiled at her and said, "If you break it, we clean it up together. That's all. No one's going to be mad, okay? Accidents happen." She looked at me like I'd spoken a different language, like nobody had ever told her that before. A few days later, I was putting laundry away in her little room, and I noticed her backpack was hidden way under the bed, all the way against the wall. It was this faded pink little kid backpack with a unicorn on it. I pulled it out. It was packed, fully packed. 2 outfits folded neatly, a little toothbrush still in the plastic, a pack of raisins, and her favorite stuffed rabbit, the one with one ear a little more worn than the other. I sat down on the floor and asked her, "Sweetie, why is your backpack packed like you're going on a trip?" She shrugged and said it so quietly I had to lean in. She said, "I keep it ready so it doesn't hurt so much when they forget me somewhere, so I can go fast." I couldn't speak. I just pulled her into my lap and held her, because years earlier, I had walked out of my parents' house with one backpack with everything I owned, because the people who were supposed to protect me told me to leave. And now my 6-year-old niece was living the same fear, packing a bag so she wouldn't be blindsided when the adults in her life let her down again. That was the moment I knew there was no going back, no compromise. She was never going to feel that kind of panic again if I had anything to do with it. I told the court everything, honestly and calmly. My family tried to flip it, said I was a bitter younger sister with a grudge, that I was using the system to punish them. But the facts were the facts. The documented neglect, the unsafe home, the plan to lie a CPS, my stable home, my real willingness to raise her. The judge awarded me legal custody of Ava, temporary at first, then full. That was years ago now. Today, Ava is 13. She's not that silent little girl who asked permission to sit down anymore. She's loud in the best way. She loves volleyball and terrible TikTok dances, and she talks a mile a minute about her science class. That old faded pink backpack with the unicorn? We still have it. It's in her closet. But now it's not an emergency bag. It's stuffed with her volleyball knee pads and hair ties and snacks she packs herself because she's excited for a weekend tournament. She packs it because she's excited to go somewhere, not because she's terrified of being left. And every time I see that backpack by the front door, I'm reminded of something it took me a really long time to learn. Sometimes people call you the strong one because they love that you can carry their mess. They like that you can lean on you and never have to say thank you. But real strength isn't carrying everyone forever. Real strength is knowing when to put that heavy weight down, when to say, I'm not going to carry what's not mine.